This is the Australian Butchers Guild podcast, brought to you by Meat and Livestock Australia, the podcast for passionate butchers.
G'day everyone, and thanks for listening to the first Australian Butchers Guild episode for 2022. I'm your host, Doug Piper. Well, the mad rush of Christmas might have finished for some of you out there, but those in the popular touristy areas around Australia, it's not quite over yet. There's still a little bit more trading to go. I hope you all traded well over the festive season and were able to get a few days off to catch up with some much needed sleep and spend some quality time with your family and friends, and most of all, rehydrate. Before I chat with tonight's guest butcher, I've got a little bit of housekeeping to do. The Summer Lamb 2022. If you put your order in late last year for this year's Summer Lamb campaign, you should receive your point of sale kits over the next week. Launch dates for the Summer Lamb campaign, and don't forget that iconic lamb commercial, is Monday the 10th of January, so look out for our old mate Sam Kekovich, and he's making another appearance again this year. The lamb campaign will run for about 6 weeks, right up until the 21st of February, so make sure you keep your fridges and cabinets stocked with some beautiful Australian lamb. Well, the next bit of news is about our Greatest Butcher campaign, the greatest butcher on your block. You should have received an email or letter from us this week advising you to place your orders for the next Greatest Butcher on Your Block campaign and in-store promotion. If you haven't received any notifications yet, make sure you email me at butchers@mla.com.au with your shop details, don't forget those, and we'll add you to the list. So don't muck about, you have until the 28th of January to put your orders in. Launch date for the Greatest Butcher is on Monday the 28th of February and will run until the 3rd of April. In the kits this time round, we've got a brand new 30-minute meal recipe cookbook that you can give away to your customers. These cookbooks are packed with 20 new, quick, easy and tasty beef and lamb recipes and include details on how your customers can win a fantastic prize by simply purchasing beef or lamb at your local participating independent butcher shop. You really need to get behind these Greatest Butcher campaigns. This is the 4th campaign MLA's run, and they're gaining more and more popularity every time we run one. So thanks to all of you out there who are supporting these programs that support the local independent butcher shop. Now on to today's special guest. Trevor Hill is the owner of several butcher shops located around South Australia called Bruce's Meats. I've known Trevor for about 15 years and watched him successfully grow his business over that time. He's a genuine and honest bloke that is passionately involved in many parts of the meat industry that include AMIC and also our Greatest Butcher on Your Block campaign. Welcome, Trevor. How are you today, mate?
Not bad, thanks, Doug.
That's the way. How did you go over Christmas? You survived it?
Oh, Christmas comes every year. We all get stressed over it. And we get the end of it and we all go, it wasn't so bad.
Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. I used to do the same thing in my shop, and I used to get so wound up, and after it I'd go, either I'm getting better at it or I just don't care about the things I can't control.
Look, we do Christmas a little bit differently down at the Mitcham store. Instead of cutting all the orders, we run a warehouse. So the fridge becomes a warehouse. So we have the small turkey breast in one location, large in another. All the hams are weighed up by size, cut in halves by size. All the pork is cut to size, and it's just in tubs. So you want a 2 kilo loin of pork, it's in the 2 kilo. It might be 2.1, might be 2.3, but it's not 2.5. You want a 2.5, you go to 2.5 tub. And so when we go in, each person gets the order, goes in and goes, I need a 4.5 kilo ham, I need a 2 kilo piece of this, and I need a turkey breast roll. And they walk out and they give it and weigh it for the customer. So we don't have 500 bags hanging on the ceiling that you've got to go under and find the number or the name. We just have an order book and you assemble the order. So we don't do the 12 o'clock nights cutting orders. The only thing we cut is red meat.
Sounds like you're well organised, mate, like a well-oiled machine.
Well, we've been doing it now for 14 years. So.
Wow, 14 years. So I actually met you probably about 15 years ago for the first time on one of the Red Meat networking club tours, I think it might have been.
Yep.
So there's been a lot of water under the bridge since then. You've got 4 shops now in Adelaide.
4 shops, yeah. We went up to 6, and then for various reasons we've cut back to 4 again. But it's a little bit easier to manage. Yeah, no, it's good.
Look, definitely easy to manage with the labour shortage of today. Everybody's suffering the same fate. All last year we were receiving phone calls from butchers looking for, do we know anybody looking for anybody that's looking for work? You know, it was just a real it's our own little pandemic that we're suffering ourselves. I think it's across the whole trade, isn't it?
I mean, we talk about, as you know, we cross-pollinate on a lot of committees, and we always talk about, recruitment, getting the right staff, training them, but we never talk about rewarding them. And I think we've got to start changing our tune to rewarding them. And if that means retail shop prices are going to have to increase, I mean, we're already a couple of bucks dear in the supermarkets. I think if we can find it in our heart to convict ourselves to go a little bit higher again and pass that increase back to the staff, I'm pretty confident we can start to get some good people back in the industry who have left because of money, but also for the future we can start to recruit people and offer them a package that's a good inducement, a good enticement into staying in the industry long term, rather than doing it as a backbone and then going doing something else.
Yeah. Money's a big thing, and also I think lifestyle too. If
Yes.
a lot of guys they have to work on the weekends. There's no ifs or buts, but being flexible and making sure everybody gets a bit of a taste of a weekend, whether it be once a month, twice a month, or if you can weekly, depending on how many people you've got in your store. That's a big bonus and a big attraction to a lot of butchers.
Yeah, we run weekend on, weekend off, the whole weekend off. So you don't work every Saturday and have every second Sunday off. You get the whole weekend off. And again, we now cater to a lot more to the needs of fathers are far more involved in raising their kids, and it's a lot more important. And I kind of agree with that. It's a pain in the bum, but I kind of agree with it. You see people come in, they go, oh, look, the wife works and she does this because we're all working, and I've got to look after the kids on Friday. Well, okay, if you can have every Friday off, the trade-off is that you do Thursday nights, and you get something that becomes an equilibrium that, like you say, is a lifestyle that they can afford to live and live comfortably, but also affords them the time to spend with their up-and-coming kids.
Yeah, I had a little stint with Franklin's Big Fresh many years ago. I ended up as a team leader for them in the butchery department, and I had a guy. He was a real handful. He was one of these guys. He was involved with the union, and everything was done as per the union rules. Yeah. And I said, and he was so hard. And I said, mate, what do you want to do? What's your ideal job here in the department? What do you want to do? He goes, I don't want to get up early and I don't want to work weekends. Solution: we stayed open till 9 o'clock every night. I said, mate, do you want to do the nights for me?
Yeah.
And he ummed and ahed about it. No problem at all. He took it on, and he did it for years. And he always took his sickies when they were due, when they came round, when he knew exactly when he had them up his sleeve. He'd always take his sickies. But that was the only problem I had with him, because he did the nights for us, and nobody else wanted to do them. Yeah. And it was it was a very good outcome for the department and for me as well, because who has the manager or the owner of the shop has to end up taking up the slack and doing those extra hours.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you hit an interesting point. Is it's very old school when we think of they don't want to get up early, they want this, they want that. We're old school. We got up at the crack of dawn and we stayed there all day, and that's what we did, and we got paid for it. These guys, they want lifestyle jobs. They get enough money to subsist on, and they're happy with that. And I think we've got to. I'm trying to do it at times. Is to step back and go, it's not me. It's not my life. It's their life. That's how they want to live it. How can I get? And some of them are very good people. How can I get the most out of them for the time they want to give me? And I think culturally, we need to get our head around that. So kids these days coming out of school. So, Doug, you've had how many careers in your life? So if you worked for, half a dozen butchers?
Yep.
Right, and then MLA, various jobs. So you've changed career or direction within the same industry probably 6 to 7 times. Kids these days that are coming out of high school, they will have 12 to 15 careers or changes, but the difference is they will change complete occupations 5 times. I mean, I went through that a little bit with my history, starting with Dad when I was 15 and leaving school early to make sausages or not going to school so I could make sausages, all that sort of stuff. And we were lucky, we were fortunate. We had the headmaster of the high school shop with Dad. So the headmaster knew where I was. He was happy. This is in the days before school apprenticeships. So I sort of enjoyed the benefits of that. And where we're going is we've got to find kids now who are lateral thinkers, problem solvers, and get them into the industry, but give them the hours that they need to survive at a rate. I mean, crikey, when they've got a choice of being a carpenter or a plumber or an electrician who do their apprenticeship, mature age apprenticeships on $25, $30 an hour, we're a long way behind in our psyche of that. But I think we've got to extend ourselves and go, so we need to how much do I need to charge per kilo to cover the extra $2 per man per hour to make it attractive? It's not a nice look, and customers, oh, gee, you're expensive. I go, these guys deserve a fair pay, don't they? Oh, yeah, they do. You're expensive. Well, I'm paying them above award wage. That's why I'm expensive. Maybe it's a song we need to develop.
Look, I agree with 100% what you said, that we need to pay them accordingly. But there's ways and means around it without jacking up your prices and that. It's probably obviously it's running your business properly. And I think we know a few guys out there that we've met over the years that have got quite maybe 5 or 6 butchers working in the shop, and they pay them extremely well because they're smart operators. They do a lot of value adding. Which is where the money is. Like when I remember when I first started with MLA and we had the counterattack program going, and when I was in my own shops, I dabbled in value adding, which was stir fries, crumb chicken, probably some crumb beef, rissoles, different flavoured sausages, and the odd rolled leg of lamb, with a bit of seasoning in it, and that was in the very early days. And today, when we started with the counterattack program, pastry, a lot of guys were already using it when I started, but pastry was costing like $2 a kilo, and they're getting back $21, $22 a kilo for pastry, and they are still today. I don't know what pastry is worth today. It's probably not much more, I don't think, but that is where the money is. One good example I like to use is an empanada. Right, yes. A little Mexican empanada. You got a little bit of pastry. I couldn't tell you how much it's worth, but it'd be only a few cents worth, and about 30 grams of flavoured mince in it. Bang, you do a 10 for $10 or whatever. It hasn't cost you $1, but whatever price you put on it. But those are the things where you make a great gross profit out of.
Exactly, value adding, like you were saying. The crumb stuff and a bit of stuffing here. I mean, they are so staple in our menu and our diet now that they're no longer considered value adding. I mean, if you sell stencils, that's not value adding, that's stencils. Value adding now is, how do you turn that pastry into a meal solution? How do you turn tonight's trays becomes tomorrow's value added products? So they're still fresh. You're still getting maximum dollars. I mean, I use the example of a real simple one, meatballs. We've got 30 kilos of sausages left over from last week that then become our meatballs. Our meatballs now become, because we've kept them staple, they're always in the window, we're now selling 40 to 50 kilos of meatballs in a marinade per week. So we're actually making meatball mix instead of just having the last week's sausages being cooked up.
Yeah. There was a guy
and at $2.50 a kilo more.
Yep. Well, there was a guy down the road at Avoca Beach, not far from where I live, in the butcher shop there, and I used to call on him every now and again, and they were there with like a watermelon scoop, making all these meatballs. They'd had a whole batch of sausage mince in the tub, in the big round tub, and they were making all these balls, and he used to sell them in kilo packs with the marinade already vac down in his 40, in his little display case. Mate, he sold that 50 kilos every week, and I used to look at it and I go, oh, that's a kilo pack, so I wonder how many kilos of that is actually meat versus marinade, because there was a heck of a lot of marinade in that sort of stuff too, because I don't know, price-wise, whether it was cheaper or not, I don't think it would have been. But it was a pretty good buy for the customer all the same. Cause I don't know what he was charging for them, but things like that, you're giving them a kilo rather than saying, I want half a kilo. They had to take a kilo.
Yeah.
So that's upselling in a way and also increasing your basket size.
And that's where supermarkets have it over us a little bit, is they offer a pack of 6 loin lamb chops, all right? Well, I only want 2, so I go to the butcher. So there's the butcher's opportunity, is to make sure that Mrs. Jones gets her 2 lamb chops and her little roast. You seam out the leg of lamb into the mini roast. So, you're doing a roast? Oh, no, they're too big. What about something like this? Oh, that's a nice little side. And so that's the opportunity for the butcher to upsell, rather than she goes to the supermarket, she buys the 6 loin chops and she has 3 meals of loin chops a week, rather than just the 1 meal of loin chops, a little bit of lamb roast and, a little bit of your mince or your sausages. Okay, so they're not big customers, but they're sweet. There's no discount, there's no bulk. They take a couple of minutes to serve, and it's the reason we exist. I mean, if it wasn't for those guys supporting us when they were younger with their families, we wouldn't be in business today.
Yeah, the size is a big thing too when it comes to roast. Like when a customer goes into a supermarket, especially say they're just a couple, retirees or whatever, they're only looking for maximum probably a 500 or 600 gram roast. They don't want a kilo roast because they won't eat it all. No. And thinking back to it, years ago, we used to struggle to sell chumps.
Yep.
Didn't think of selling it to a customer as a little roast back then. Today, little lamb rumps, you can either sell them cap on, cap off, or you can still keep the bone in there as a chump and just sell it to them whole, so it doesn't shrink up as much, I suppose. All these little things that we sort of do because we're conditioned to do it that way. That's the way we were taught. But you've got to start looking at different ways at how we can achieve things and different products we can put in the window without actually trying to recreate the wheel again.
It's in sectioning the window. We have everything on a stick in one area. We have everything in a pastry in one area. We have everything, not quite everything that's a roast, but everything that's a lamb roast in one area, everything that's a beef roast in another area next to the beef steaks. So we section our window a lot more than what we used to. Remember the old checkerboard? We'd have a bit of lamb here, a bit of pork there, and get the old red and white check.
Yep.
And look, I'm getting old, and dementia's getting a lot closer than it was years ago. Trying to remember where things are in that sort of window would just do my head in now, because I'm so used to. You want a steak? There they are. You can compare all the steaks, sizes, colours, values, the whole lot in one hit. Here's all our chops. They're all together. The loin, the chump. Sectioning your window and looking. And I don't know how many butchers out there have got into the data that you guys have been putting out with MLA's Helix report. I mean, that's a lot of data to process and understand. But if you get all that data in reading it, when Chris come round and did ours, you sit down and you go, right, so what is the best method of reaching a message to those people? And Facebook just comes back time and time again. I mean, print media is dying so fast, it's scary. Remember, we used to advertise in the local media, and butchers, we would open the page and look at that ad, that looks fantastic.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we're about the only ones that do that these days. No, it just turns the page. So how do we get a really quick message through? And last year when we were doing the Best Butcher on Your Block, working with Jessica and watching Jessica work how she does her Facebooks and gets the posts and has it all in a row ready to go and keeps the feeds going out and it's not an overfeed, it's not an underfeed, it's just that constant just knocking on the door, just not loudly, but just a little knock on the door. And every now and then a gem comes through and you go, oh, what's that about? I think as butchers, how do we cross-pollinate? And there's some guys around the country doing that absolutely phenomenally. Billy's in Brisbane. Still has a very good presence on Facebook. The Low and Slow movement, they have some fantastic presences and images and little competitions that they run between themselves. Post what you're cooking this weekend, and they all get out and do their bits and pieces. They're the sort of things that I think butchers, given time, should be looking to tap into. And what's that going to take? Look, I've got a few ideas, but execution and the idea are still miles apart for me. And
Yeah.
I've got to bring the execution and the idea closer.
Yeah, that's the hard part, mate. Getting that part. The ideas are great. They can, after a few beers, we can come up with all the ideas under the sun that can solve all the problems. But execution, we've got to do it correctly. That's the key word. I think we've got to do it correctly,
tastefully, informatively, and creatively. Like if we all did the same thing the same way, we wouldn't get the following. But and some of the guys out there, I watch some of the guys on YouTube and also the Facebook content and stuff like that, and it's stuff that I probably wouldn't do. But you know what? It really works for the style that they are, and the character that they are. You walk in the shop and straight, yeah, mate, you're it. You're the guy. You're the guy on that video, aren't you? Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
And I think we've got to become better actors as butchers. And let's face it, we're all shy, retiring guys as butchers, aren't we? We've really got nothing to say. No. And you put us in a room and you can't shut any one of us up at a time to get our ideas out. But if we can channel some of that information, some of that ideas, some of that passion that we possess, I think they're the ones who get the genuine followers.
Yeah, you look at some of these. I've just joined up with one curing and sausage Facebook page, and I don't know how many of them are butchers there, but there's a lot of guys that I actually was looking at it later on this afternoon, and there was a lot of guys there that weren't, and that's their first attempt at tying sausages, and they were just so proud to show what they'd created. So that's the way butchers need to be. They need to be proud to show what we're doing. You see it a lot also with some of the butchers' Facebook posts, and they've got a butcher standing out the front of the shop, and he's very happy to talk through the what they've got on in their window today. Not necessarily what's on special, but what we've got for you guys. This is what we have in our shop, and these blokes are salesmen. These guys are the guys that you want working for you. Yep. But there's just one problem that, and it's probably easy for me to say to point it out, because I treat myself as a customer when I watch these things. One of the big things that I find is dress code. If you want to become professional and do it tastefully and professionally, just change your apron. Don't walk out there with something which you can get the block scraper and scrape all the fat off with, because that's just not good, is it? We see it. A lot of customers probably don't look at that because they're busy listening, but a lot of other people do see it, and to me it's a real turn off, because that's one reason why people continue to go back to the supermarkets, because of hygiene and the way that everything's presented. So butchers put so much time and effort into making sure their meat's cut beautifully, their sausages are displayed lovely, they do their great value adding, but they forget about themselves. Like, okay, a beard's a beard. You've got a beard. I have one every now and again. There's a lot of butcher. It's a trending thing with that new artisanal butcher side of it, with the leather and the beard, and it's grunty, and it's, I love it. I think it's great. I wish I was about 30 or 40 years younger, and I'd probably get in with that. It doesn't really work with grey hair or no hair like you. But, just take a little bit of pride in your appearance. A lot of guys do, but if you're going to be out there in front of the customers, especially on social media, just whack on a clean apron and just do it that way. And I always say, shoot from about the waist up. Don't show the dirty shoes, because they're very hard to keep clean. We all know that. But just show them from about the waist up, and bang, you look a hell of a lot better.
Well, we've got the ABG aprons running at the moment. And you made a comment in one of your previous podcasts that the apron sales went through the roof. Yeah, that was probably me. I brought $2,000 worth of aprons.
Oh, okay. Thanks, mate.
Sorry about that. But what I try and do is encourage the guys to have a morning apron, gets messy, wiping their hands, getting the window in, and an afternoon apron that's clean and pristine, ready to serve in.
One of the managers that used to look after a shop where I worked many years ago, he always wore a shirt, always had a tie, and I'm only going back into about the 80s, which is a long time ago when I think about it. Yep. But John always wore a plastic bib, just one of those disposable plastic bibs. because he was also the guy that served the customers out, when he took their money in the little office where I worked. So, it was nothing for him to walk out there, take his bib off, walk in there to take the money. It was like looked like he'd just put a new shirt on every time. Yep. But those things like that, I don't know if they still make them, but I think that's a great saviour. Like if you're doing your window in the morning, chuck a plastic bib over it, and then go for it. That saves you having to wear 2 aprons in a day.
I remember a guy in Adelaide, Alan Bennett. You probably remember the name Alan Bennett down at Arkabar Meats. He would have been around back in your days at the supermarket. What he would do, he would make his butchers in the back room wear an oversized blue coat over their white coat, and if they had to get called out to serve, they would take the blue coat off and go out and serve. Yep. And so the white coat was always pristine. And it was sort of like, oh, what a pain. But, I tell you what, it's the message we give our customers. Everyone likes to be served by somebody special. I mean, you look at Victor Churchill. My first experience of walking in there felt so much like walking into a jewellery store. Can I show you a T-bone? Or maybe you're interested in a porterhouse today. How would that look on your finger? It was absolutely amazing, the difference in how they would do it. And it's in a unique suburb where they pull up in their Bentleys and, somebody runs in. But it's a market for the market they're in. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what they've built their business on. They market themselves so well. It's pride, it's passion, it's the way that their appearance when they're serving a customer. I think it's a credit to those guys and other butchers down there. I know Nathan Alcock down in down the south coast there. I often have a look at a couple of his posts on social media. And those guys, that they've gone for the artisanal butchery look, and they've got the nice big leather aprons, and he's invested a lot of money in his uniforms. But I tell you what, he looks the goods. They all look so good and clean and tidy, and you know what? It's very similar to what you get in Victor Churchill's, but this is in the South Coast. It's a different sort of. It's not a Victor Churchill's, but it gives you that feel when you walk in there and. The way it's all presented and the guys are so well dressed.
The kangaroo leather aprons are $600 each.
Cool.
That's with your logo stamped on the front. Yeah. But they look. I mean, Goodwood Meat. Dave down at Goodwood Meat here in Adelaide looks so smick. Like it's just the old world butcher. The nice shirt. And one of the things MLA could do is on the Facebook account is, hey guys, post your best look. And so we can actually start to get butchers to feed ideas of what they're doing in the marketplace to actually boost their look. So, I mean, that's how I pick up a lot of my. I'm a copycat. I'm not ashamed to say it, but I see a good idea and I'll pinch it.
Yeah, I'm always on the lookout for different aprons. I've actually got a couple. I picked up a couple just before Christmas that I'll use when we do events and training and that they're quite I think they're $120 each. Yeah. They've got a leather strap and around the neck and a leather belt around the front, around the sides that actually unclips.
Yes.
And the material itself, it's not a leather apron, but it's a really sort of thickish, quite a heavy apron. So it'll probably outlast me for what I need it for. But it's a light colour. It's not a dark colour because dark colours do show up fat really easy. All you got to do is stand next to a lamb and you'll see it on a dark colour. But whereas this is like a grey sort of greeny colour in it, and I think they're fantastic. I can't wait to whack it on and do something. But apart from make sausages at home or or cook a couple of hams,
people buy with their eyes. They walk past the shop, and if you're neat and clean, the old days where the butcher would go out and clean the floor and do the windows, 4 or 5. I mean, Bruce. I've got Bruce's mate. Bruce, who used to own the shop before me, who's now retired on my money, by the way, if he's listening. He used to go out 4 or 5 times a day to clean the windows, but while he was out in the mall cleaning the windows, he would talk to everybody as they went past. And how you going? Yeah, good. Yeah. He'd clean the window and they go, anything you're looking for? Look, chicken fillets are on special today. Why don't you try some of those? Or, we've got loin lamb chops, piled up to the hill. Why don't you try? They're beautiful and tender at the moment. Or spring. So he would have that chance and use that opportunity to get out there and just give some pearls of wisdom to people going past.
It's like the spruiker out the front of, Central Markets, mate.
Yep.
Just
Minos.
like the spruikers. Yeah, Minos, quick. Yeah. Get your T-bone steaks, Minos, quick. That's what this guy, Minos, at, what was the name of that meat place?
That
Metro
was,
Meats?
Inglis, WH Inglis.
Yeah, every Friday and Saturday on market day, he'd be out there, big Italian fella, whatever he was. And
he was Greek, and he
Greek.
just milked it. Like, he would stop everybody, and even if he wasn't the cheapest, the funniest thing is to watch him when he's weighing the trays on Saturday morning, cleaning the window out because before 7-day trade, he'd put the tray on the window, on the scales, weigh it up, and this guy stands there and goes, "I'll have that tray too. I just paid for it, thanks."
The good old days. I remember them well. Mate, so getting back to value adding to create more bigger baskets, I suppose, what's a good percentage to have of your window of value added product? Would it be, what do you run at? Do you do a 50 or a 40% or a 60%? I know Adam we spoke to the other week, I think last time I went into his shop, it was nearly about 75% was value add.
We run across all species. We're probably sitting very close to probably 50 to 60% value added, crumbed, rolled, battered, marinated on a skewer. Because I say to people, we sell a lot of red meat. We cut big, thick steaks. We're a steak destination shop. People come for the steaks. And you sort of go, we sell a lot of steaks. Then you go out the front and you actually count the value-added windows and the things that have no marinade, no stick, no crumb, no filling. And you look at them and you go, there's not many there, is there? That's why it takes so damn long to put the window in the morning, because you're doing all these things. And the thing is, you've got to have backup or a recipe or a process or a methodology that is fast enough to get the product back in the window when you sell the six. If you haven't got that methodology, if you haven't got the process down pat, if you've got to break off and make six of those, sometimes you're better off just looking at your shelf life on the product and how you can package it so you extend the shelf life, so you can make 3 days worth of it in advance and then make 3 days of another product. That's where the value comes into the value adding.
Yeah, I knew a butcher. Well, I know a butcher. He used to do a lot of value adding, and he had probably a couple of days a week where they did all of their prep work and put it all together, and they used to freeze a lot of it. So when they started to get a bit low on, say, these pastries or whatever that product there, they'd just pull a few out and straight in the fridge, and they'd thaw out overnight. So it sort of took that constant stopping and starting all the time away.
Like I said, it's all about getting the process right so that you can get sufficient stock of all your value-added products onto the shelf and keep them full. Because if you run out, again, 7-day business now, I mean, Sunday is our second biggest trade day of the week. But we don't make a thing on Sunday. All it is serving. So the dollars per hour are the highest of the week, basically. Saturday and Sunday are 32% of our turnover.
Wow.
You add Friday in, you're up around 45 to 50.
Yeah.
So what do we do for the other 4 days?
I hear you.
So it's about those first 4 days are probably the busiest days in the back room of the shop. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday are the days in the front of the shop where we finesse the window, we finesse the tray. So we've started pulling our window out on Thursday, because then we put a Friday, Saturday, Sunday window in. And then over the weekend, when we come in Monday and it's empty, we change it again so it's a more of a meal solution window, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And Friday, Sunday is more of a family time roast where they've got the time to spend time together. And early in the week is all about the value added. Yeah,
the weekends are completely different meals than the weekday ones, obviously. Yep. And the popularity of the low and slow smokers out there. It's a good day to throw the briskets out, the pork butts or whatever you want to do, legs of lamb or the big tomahawks out there, because the old man's going to come in, he's going to open up the wallet and hopefully spend when he's there.
Look, one of our smallest shops has $10 per customer average higher sales than our biggest shop, because they've tapped into that low and slow. They're going to do a rump picana, but give me 3 of them. I'm going to do a bit of brisket, but I want the Wagyu one. I'm going to do something special, unique. What have you got? We've got the flat iron steaks. Oh yeah, they sound fantastic. You got 3 kilos of those. So the stock that we carry across the shops is in no way standardised. They cater very specifically for what people want to buy from their shops, and it's a different way of sort of, okay, they're all Bruce's meats, but they all have different unique propositions.
Yeah, you look at the socials again, and what these guys are like cooked. This is what I cooked this weekend, and they've got a brisket, and they've got they've got a couple of great big tomahawks there, and they've got a big leg of lamb. They've got half a dozen things, and you look at it and you go, well, the brisket's probably costing about 100 odd, and then you've got another, another probably $50-$60 and a couple of tomahawks, and then he's got the leg of lamb. There's 40 or 50. So before you know it, there's $250. This guy's just basically cooked for the weekend. Well, exactly, maybe, but that's where the opportunities lie, isn't it? Like, and how much work's in it? You take the brisket out of the box, you put it on the shelf. Yeah. There's not a lot of, if you're buying carton meat, there's not a lot of work involved in that.
Because they want the experience of trimming it themselves.
Yep.
So instead of us throwing the fat in the bin, they're throwing the fat in the bin, but they've just paid for it. And it's a beautiful thing. As I say to people, the emptier my bin is, the cheaper I am. The fuller it is, the dearer I am. I said, but the value statement of shopping at a little independent butcher is when you go to the bin and you go, there's nothing there to scrape in. That's value. Yeah. It's when you buy it cheap and you go to the bin and all the gristle and all the fat and all the crap that we don't eat, you scrape that in the bin. You've got to remember, you paid for that and you paid their price for it. So, what you don't scrape off our plate from our shops is where the saving is.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's one to keep in the back of the mind if you're looking for something different to do. Maybe, I suppose, bring some more customers or different clientele into your butcher shop. You can get that sort of information through the boys, through your MROs, the membership relationship officers around for AMIC. They've got access to the Helix program where a lot of these low and slowers are in that sort of 20, 30, 40-year bracket generally, and Helix can actually dive into that information and tell you where these people are in your community, or if there are, how many of them there are in your community in a defined area. So that's another good thing that Helix programs can do, is actually looking at who's in your local area.
One thing with the Helix is when you get the initial data, apply the time to review it and process it and then put it aside, and then pick it up a week later and go through it again, because then you've had a chance to think about it. Because a lot of guys get the data and they go, because there is so much to process and absorb, but it's a sort of document you can keep going. You keep it, next to your till, and you keep going back and going, okay, where did you come from? Or when you're running just a little localized promotion, and you want the winner's mobile number and you want their postcode, where did they come to you from? So you can then database, you put them in stacks, count them up. Okay, that's 200 from postcode 5172, 200 from 5173, 50 from that one, 25 from that. So when you're going to boost your Facebook post, you already know the postcodes in which to boost it. You're already getting it. Or if there's something unique that you want to build in an area that you're not getting penetration into, you've also got that postcode. So little things in running promotions in store that capture data. And again, you can get all your entries, bundle them up. There's sites where you can mail them to in China, and they will database them for it. Name, mobile number, and email address. Right? They'll wash the data for you so you haven't got the repeats, and send it back to you in a spreadsheet form so you can use things like MailChimp. And I think the last lot I did cost me $150. I mean, for me, that's 6 weeks' work.
It's incredible, isn't it?
In typing, yeah.
So many butchers over the years have probably run promotions, and they've got a little bit of information, a little bit of data from whoever's been involved, and have done nothing with it. And
guilty.
It's oh mate, definitely, we're all guilty of it.
Guilty.
But food for thought. That's a great point you brought up there. Just remember that for next time. If you do run a promotion and you're getting people's information, they are the people you want to keep targeting. They are the ones.
I mean, loyalty programs. I mean, we use GAP scales. GAP scales have a loyalty program built into them. So we ask our customers to take a loyalty card, so they scan it, and they will build a system there. how many points do you want for how many dollars? So we've got 12 shops at $20 or more, 1 point per visit, 12 visits for $20 or more, and you get $20 to spend. All right. So the maximum it's going to cost me is 8%. All right. The reality cost is it cost me about 3%. All right. But Christmas time, we had people who had $100 to spend at Christmas time to buy a ham. So where are they going to go at Christmas time? They're not going to go to Woolworths and Coles because they've got it on special. They're going to come back to us because they've earned $100 at Christmas time. And we've had their loyalty the whole year. Training apprentices, I always say, if you want the right answer, you must first ask the right question. Adam Stratton's a good one. Ask Adam the right question, he'll give you the right answer. Because he talks a lot, and there's a lot of information in what Adam says. But if you ask Adam a specific question, and you start to drill down on that question, that's where the gold is. Yeah. And when he tells you the mechanics of how he does things, that's where it works.
So what's on for you for the rest of you're back in the shop now, or?
I have been. I'm loading the car up as soon as I hang up from here, and we're going to Queensland to pick up our caravan.
Your Chrissy present.
I ordered it last Christmas, so...
Oh, yeah, it's a Chrissy present.
But so if you're listening, this is... I've spoken to the accountant. This is the next business venture of Bruce's Meat. It's going to be Bruce's Meat relieving butchers. So I've got the accommodation sorted. It'll be behind the car. And so to pay for my holiday, I'll go around Australia and I'll start to relieve and build up. And again, there's only me. Yep. So I'll build up, 4 or 5 months worth of work around Australia that I'll do on a regular basis, but that'll pay for my touring around.
Beautiful,
so
mate.
That's the distant retirement plan, which is probably another 10 years off, but it's to get the tax deduction for the caravan now, I've got to start advertising.
Mate, you probably had a lot of butchers going to listen to this, and their ears are going to prick up, and they're going to be calling you tomorrow, and they'll be going, hey, listen, when are you coming around here? I didn't hear when you were actually coming.
Up now, yeah.
Good stuff, mate. Well, I hope you have a great trip up there. Little bit wet. It's a little bit wet on the roads around there at the moment. I was just talking to our producer Scott, and he was saying that there's a fair bit of rain up there, up the north part. So just take it easy and
it'll take me a week to get there. So the cyclone should have blown out by then.
Oh, I should have done by then, mate. Just hopefully it doesn't come back around and hit it again.
But look, I mean, hopefully. Next year, Sausage King will be up and running again nationally. We'll have the National Sausage King coming back through AMIC. Competition was run this year. The attendance for that was fantastic. With all the numbers are up across Australia. We are interested in competing and meeting and exchanging ideas. And I really think guys need to pick up the phone and build a little network. And again, the tours. I still talk to guys from the first tour I went on. When you go to WA, you pop into the shop and have a look what they're doing and what they've changed over the years. And butchers are happy to tell you what they're doing. It used to be as long as you weren't next door. But I think even just in Adelaide, the local guys, close to my stores, we all talk, we all exchange ideas, we all let each other know what's happening, who's coming through, what the scams are. Like, can I order $200 worth of meat? I'll pay for it on phone and I'll get the wife to pick it up.
Yeah.
Do you know this guy? It's a scam. We got scammed out of it. And again, ringing guys and letting them know about these scams and to look out for it. They're all the things that, the network and, the ABG and all that sort of stuff, they're what we need to, post-COVID, reinvigorate.
Yeah. I don't know if you heard the other week, I can't remember who I was talking to, we're going to start up the tours again this year.
Yep.
So, COVID permitting, it'll be in the second half of the year after June, so we'll be looking at doing one there. We don't know where we're going to do it yet, but I've already had a lot of interest from a few guys around the place that they got in contact with me after the podcast and said, put me down. I don't care where we go, but put me down.
Yep.
So it'll we're looking forward to kicking them off again, mate, and I think they're valuable.
Very valuable.
Awesome stuff, mate. Well, I'm going to let you go so you can get on the road up to Queensland. Thanks a lot for your time today, mate, and safe travels. And I look forward to catching up with you.
Yep.
Probably in February, I think, for the next Greatest Butcher, mate.
Yep. As long as we're all not zombies, we'll be fine.
Awesome, mate. All right, all the best to the family, Trev, and thanks a lot, mate.
Thanks again, Doug. Talk to you soon.
Well, folks, that's a wrap up for this episode of the Australian Butchers Guild podcast. I hope you've enjoyed the chat with Trevor today. If you've missed any of our earlier podcasts, simply hit the subscribe button and you can keep up to date with all of our episodes. If you have an inquiry or want to know more about the Australian Butchers Guild, please drop me an email at butchers@mla.com.au. Thanks for supporting our Butchers Guild podcast and looking forward to catching up with you soon. I'm Doug Piper.
You've been listening to the Australian Butchers Guild podcast, produced by The Sound Business.